اشتاقيش لك أو اشتاق دي ده واضح تبنى بيه واضحة على مشتاق دي كس هي حتى سندش تناومدل سببتها لو أكتبني مدرعنا وصلت أكتبنا دي أجل طلبك باسورد إذا بيتكلم موضوع اشتراك
باسورد إذا بيتكلم إما حرج بوس هم دائما باسورد بيتكلم ولا بيتكلم هم راني
أجل باسورد بيتكلم إيميلك أكتب بي باسورد إيميلك تزاني دفاعي لمودل إيميلك داخل كي بري باسورد النبيك ريسيتك كله دانيلو إيميل خود ريسيت دك يا وكو هاد برنامج اشتغل تتفقيني
ندك باسورد
مفروض بكريتن يعني أتو أو أكاونتات ربطبوا إيميلك أجل خلالها بيتم مفروض مجرد إيميلك وكو جوجل وكو هاد اشتغل هذا برنامج اشتغل أجل نكرتنا وأكيد تقرأ يوصل على كيف زي اشتغل كتير ميمويا موديل ضروري على ويا موعدكم دانا على موديل لابد تقديم كتني هم كانتان أو موعدة دبي تزامي كيف كان دبي تأخير كان محاولة كان معام التزام المواعيد كان واجبه كان بكان رنجا واجبه إلا موعد خوي دهتر به حساب لنا كم درزيلو دارنا بالنسبة كويزات لحفتي داتو توقع كان الوقت كويز بكريتن تبروي تعاون جو هات نقاعي هذا هات نقاعي فرصتي كويز كردن هي تتواني امتحانك درس كان بابي نوصل موضوع كمان لما يجوا معي هل زما يجوا معه هلا من زمان دوم هين نقاش homework كتان. First order differential equation, ordinary differential equation. هذا كلها تعريفه كيف أسمعكم. أولا first order, لو first order لما يكم it contains the first derivative. For that it's called first order differential equation. As you can see here, this is the first derivative. For that it will be considered as first order differential equation. Now, these are different forms of the differential equation. It can be in the derivative forms, like this one. It can be in differential form. So you'll have dy dx separated. It can be in the general form, and it can be in the standard form. These are different ways to write the differential equation. At the end, the meaning are same. They are all differential equations. Only the difference is how to write it, how to present it. Now, we have something we call general solution for ordinary differential equation. What's the general solution? We already mentioned when you say general solution, you will get an equation. If you say particular solution, you will get an equation without arbitrary constant. You see, if we have the first order differential equation, in that case, we should have only one arbitrary constant. If we have second order, then we will have two arbitrary constants. And the same case with the third order. So whenever you have the first order, you will have, for example, plus c, one constant. If it's second order, then you will have two constants. What we mean by constant is the letters that usually written in the equation, and they are not variables. Now, as you can see also the particular solution of the differential equation. You have this equation. If you know the value for these constants and you put it in the equation, you will get an equation without any arbitrary constant. There is no constant anymore in the equation. This one can be called particular solution. This is the solution of the equation when a is equal to 2, b is equal to minus 3. So particularly in that point, the result will be like this. The equation will be in this way. درسك بالإنجليزية لما نهز لقانون لحكمة إنجليزي شرطك. أجاش نقطة معينة هي تين أجد لك مكرسم أو نقطة توزع لك. Now, techniques for solving differential equation. We will study today the first technique for solving the differential equation. What part of my speech is not clear? What part is not understandable? سي لأقصى كان 200 ليش لبداية درسها. باشتريت درسك كردية درس كردية. درسك إنجليزية. أمن كلمة differential ناتوان بكردي بيت ولا معناه equation ناتوان بكردي بيت. كواتا كردية كتير بس أمازي ديك دانا وكان بكردي دوت بلهم. يو بدنا بكردي وا.
إذا أولي أتدري أنا باشتري يعني زين كبيكاري زحمة أجر كينا جلينا زوج زحمة لما يلا راسك فيه. إذا قالي لبدا السكون أنا قلت أنا بكل كلمة يعني بكيف باش.
درسك موافقين الرئيس قسم كدرسك كردية أم بكردي دلنا وبكامل كلمة إنجليزي بكذا يعني مش نمنيها. بلام أو درس بمني قلت لا هو إنجليزية. فمجبور بالإنجليزي ولا لا؟ أنا وصف سيب كلنا مفروض أون الإنجليزي دزان كأون ديتيبقى. أجر أون الإنجليزي نازل أون ديتيبقى باشا للصفية باشا دوازة صار إنجليزي خندية بقى للصفية شهادي. ديسان كورسك إنجليزي وأنا صار إنجليزي خندية. فأتدي أنا بغلطي هاتي يعني موضوع أكاديمي راس بكريتوا خليلك هي أجد بشاشي محدد واضح نية أجد كلمات واضح نية. We have different techniques for solving differential equation. One of the techniques is variable separable differential equation. This is one of the techniques that we will try to solve. To solve this one, what's the way to solve it? A separable differential equation can be expressed as the product of a function of x and a function of y. So you will separate the part of the x, the part of the y into different parts. And then you will try to integrate each part separately. That's the way. You are trying to put the x part in one side, the y part in one side, and then you are trying to integrate it. For example, in this one, you have dy over dx and the function of x and the function of y. Now, you will put whatever is a function of x with dx, whatever is the function of y with dy, and separate it. If you integrate this one, integration يعني توكالي, so you will get the equation. But the idea, you have a differential equation, you are trying to get the real equation. You are trying to convert it to a normal equation. That's the idea. Differential equation of type, for example, this one. Consider differential equation. So you separate it and then you integrate it. You will have the equation in this format. Is it clear? Anybody didn't understand what we talked about? y تي x تي لمعادلة x y تي x y دي عندك ايوه بخوي ناوكي separable يعني دي كدنوي variable كان دي عندك ايوه الاساس دي كدنوي عن محاولة ذكي انتجريشني هل يكيان بتنيا كزيادة كدوا انتجريشني هو ذكي This is the main idea behind the separable or variable separable solution or the differential equation. Now, an example. What we see here is a differential equation. Then, we have yx and we have xy, dy over dx. So what we'll try to do, separate y from x, and of course dy will go with the y, and dx will go with the x. So whenever you are separating, you'll get an equation in this form. This one, 2x dx, you can integrate and dismiss this dx. If you integrate this part, you'll have the equation without dx. كانت التوكالي والدقيقة و dx نعمل. كانت التوكالي والدقيقة dy نعمل. وهنا. So now this is the equation. Integrating both sides will give you another equation, but as we learned from early beginning in the basic of the mathematics, whenever you integrate, you have to add a constant. أولاً العقيبة مرحلة سي و دو وانية وتوكالي كونستانتك زيادة كي كونستانتك زيادة كي. So in this case you have two constants. I can consider that C1 and C2 combined together can be C. It's constant. It will not make difference. We are just naming something which is not known. Then, in this way, this can be the final equation for the differential equation. So, this is the idea. You will have to separate and integrate, and if you can't find the C amount, you can find it to get the particular solution. If not, you'll have the general solution, which is in this format. So you have two ways to solve it, either to make it a general solution or to make it a particular solution. This is for a simple. Now, yes.
استاذانی من هر دو کنستانت زیاده مثلا این دو تا کنستانت دو کنستانت
C1 for this part.
C1 عفوا
and this one C2 for this part. But we consider that the summation of C1 and C2 is C. That's very simple because it's a constant. We didn't know what's the value. We just say any letter. Now, another example for that. It says solve this equation. You see, you have x here, x, and then even you don't have y, you have dy. So, in this differential equation, we will try to separate all x in one side and all y in one side. Here we don't have y, we have dy over dx. This dx can go to the other side again in the same way. So, it's just very simple rearranging of the equation. What was done here is, here we just tried to some algebraic techniques to solve the equation. We are adding 4 and minus 4. This is just one of the normal algebraic techniques in order to find this one. Why we are trying to find this one? Because we have x plus 2 here, and we are trying to delete this part or make it simple. So we just make it like this. If we take this part, you will have x plus 2 squared. This part of the equation can be converted in this way. You can delete, and then you will have what? You will have x plus 2, and this part you will have minus 4 minus 5 will be 9. So the idea is to simplify the equation. You can solve it in any different way, but at the end you are trying to get a simple equation, easy for integration. That's the idea. You have differential equation and you are trying to find the integration, and you are trying to find the easiest way to integrate it. So here we are trying to make it as simple as possible. You see, if you integrate this part, is a little bit complicated. This part again, we are trying to make it simple. And then now if you integrate this one, it will be very easy. You can integrate each part and you will get this equation. Bearing in mind that whenever you do integration, you have to remember the basic rules of integration. For example, the integration of this part will be log x plus 2. So you have to remember that integration of 1 over x dx is equal to
linear.
log or ln x. So the original equations or the simple basic equations for the integration and derivative, you have to remember. So this is one of these parts. Constant will go out and you will have log x plus. Remember the integration rules. You have to remember the derivative rules. Otherwise, it will be difficult to solve the equations for differential equations. Yes.
يعني بس there is solve because بس يعني okay.
Solve, when we ask you to solve this one, we mean you have a differential equation and you are solving the differential equation. So the question will be very simple. Solve, and it can give you the equation, and otherwise I can say find the general solution for the differential equation. يعني solve the below differential equation. the question will be clear. So the first thing you will do, you have to understand which type of differential equation you are dealing with. Now, we are talking about the first method, which is the variable separable solution. Maybe, in some cases, you will not be able to use this method. So you will use the other methods. We will explain the other methods also in the other lectures, but mainly, in this case, it's very simple. You will try to use it in this way. شرطيا سؤالك صيغي سؤال وهو بيتنسابد يعني نقوره سؤالك بيضل حليكا يباشا حليكا أو ديالا differential equation يعني حليكا يعني سي يعني بيكا general احتمال وقت بيضل find the general solution بيضل find the particular solution in case x is equal to مثلا تار y is equal to رقم اشتر فلو حالته او وقت يسيفش تدوز يوم. Now, another example. So the only way to learn is to go back and try to solve these questions, examples by yourself. Otherwise, you cannot learn by reading the lectures, you cannot learn just in listening the lectures. You will try to solve, you will read it, and then you will try to solve. If you were able to solve all these examples and questions, then that's all. We don't need anything more from you. We need you to learn how to apply the solution. If the equation changed and this was instead of 1 plus y squared, for example, 1 plus y squared. What's the difference? You have an equation and you are applying the same technique. So there will be no problem if you understand the technique. Now, you have this main equation, which is a differential equation. How do we know it's differential equation? John, does I know differential equation?
Divide.
Ramza chi derivative there. It contains derivative of x and y. So it's differential equation. So the first thing, as we agreed, is to separate both sides, to put the y part in a side and x part in another side. You see? You just need to be accurate whenever you are trying to separate it and to not separate wrongly, to take care about the signs. لولا دبا ولا زائد ناقص نازمتي أشتانا وأنا هم مبادئ رياضياتي متوسطة وإعدادية لو أنا غلطنا كي شون أو بشيء دبا أو بشيء أولاد أو أنا غلطنا كي تو يتر دو لا هي لا جان هم يعني إكسن لقال دي إكس تو هذا الثاني تو كهربائي لا كيتر هم وايا لقال dy, the triangle, okay. So you will just need to do the integration. Now, again, we are going back to remember the main rules of integration. The integration of 1 over 1 plus y squared will be tan inverse of y. So this is one of the things that you have to remember, because it's rule. We don't need to spend more time to apply or find new rules. This is already there. In the integration rules, you will just need to remember the integration rules and apply it. In this case, you will find the general solution. لو أنا يا كان مثلا أو شكل دبتوت tan inverse أو كان integration سيكان لكتابكان هي اگر پێویستان پێیە ئەو کتابانەی لە مۆدڵم دانایە سێ کتابم دانایە کەس هەیە مشکلەی هەبێت لە داونلۆدەکەی دەبی بە ئیمێڵی جامعەت داونلۆدکەی داروەیە هەندێک کەس هەیە دەوێت داونلۆد کە داونلۆد ناکات چکە ئیمێڵێکی شخصی کراوەیە نابیتن ئیلا دەبێت بە ئیمێڵی جامعە داخل بی ئەو دەتوان داونلۆدکەی كتابكان لبدايتكان يعني عادة ويان لكال بلس لكتابكان الرياضيات بعام او موضوع عن هي انتجريشن كان سنه ساوي شيء كتاب قشنه اكيد لقوا محاضرات وسؤال حق كدنيش زور حاله ما عندي تبرتساو ببير ما عندي توا بكاري ديني بدكري ودا ببير كان بيتوا والله ما قلت ساوي شيء كتاب قشنه الا كان عندك ببير كان بيتوا باش تبي Any questions up to now? Okay. We already explained this one. Now, another example. You'll find all this in the reference books that I put in the Moodle. Those examples are taken from the same books, but I tried to take different examples to give you different ideas. Otherwise, you can go back and find that chapter which is related to the differential equation and find that part which is related to the separable variable differential equation and then try to solve more examples. Also, you can find at the end of the books some more examples about each type and you can solve it. Now, this one, you have this equation. Again, we are trying to separate. We already did here. We separated the y part and the x part. Again, we are going back to the matter of the integration of 1 over x or 1 over y will be ln or logarithm of y. So, these are also again the rules that apply for integration. Then, in this case, you have this part. This is not very clear, so we have to ask the department to solve this problem. Now, this one can be written in this way. As any, for example, when you say e to power x plus c, it can be
times.
So these are all rules, cannot be changed. We are just making simple. So this is the one of the rules which calls the laws of exponent. Then it's the same with that whenever you say 2 to power 1 multiplied or 2 to power 2 multiplied by 2 to power 4. It's the same. Will be so exponential loss is the same for all the cases. Then we find this one. Now, if you have the exponential of ln, the exponential of ln will be this part. So it's just like when you say exponential of ln x,
X.
it will be x. This is also another rule which is applied there. So we are trying to use all the rules that we learn in the mathematics, in the first class, second class, or even in the secondary school, and apply it in the advanced mathematics. When you say advanced mathematics, means you will use all the basic mathematics within the advanced, in addition to some new techniques that you will learn in the advanced mathematics. So that is simply the things. So try to remember the things from the past and apply it in these lectures. Now, another example. Another example, solve the initial value for dy over dx is equal to minus y over y when y of 4 is equal to minus 3. This means it's like what we say when x is equal to 4 and y of x is equal to minus 3. So this is the way it will be written. That's the difference. When you say y of 4 means y of x. So you have to understand the way it will be written like this. Now, if you rewrite the equation and you separate it, then you will just need to take the integration. Whenever you are taking the integration, you know it's y, it will be y squared over 2. X will be x squared over 2. Of course, keeping the signs, plus, minus, in the same way. And you will have a constant added to the equation.